Mary Grace made a vow of virginity at age 5. On the day of her first communion, Mary Grace was 7 years old, and the child Jesus appeared to her with wounded and bloody hands, and said to her, quote, "People inflicted these wounds on me with their sins. I am in the Eucharist to dispense graces and extend mercy, but I receive only ingratitude, profanity, and sacrileges. The Eucharist is dishonored and nobody cares. My beloved one, you make reparation with your adoration done in my presence." Unquote. From that moment, Mary Grace consecrated her life to the Eucharist and the salvation of souls. Despite the fact that she had made a vow of virginity at age 5, her father wanted to give her in marriage to a young man by force. When everything seemed lost, Our Lady appeared to her and assured her with these words, "Say yes and then become a nun." Our Lady was not wrong. On the day of the wedding in the town hall, Mary's husband took sick and had to be rushed to the hospital. The doctors diagnosed his ailment as a case of severe tuberculosis. His agony lasted 8 months. Notwithstanding that her father had forbidden Mary Grace to visit her husband, because the religious ceremony had not yet been celebrated, Mary Grace was often seen at his bedside as she took care of him and taught him catechism. In fact, among her gifts, Mary Grace even had the gift of bilocation. As soon as her husband died, Mary Grace embraced the religious life with the crucified Sister Adores of the Eucharist. One day, as the priest was distributing communion in the convent chapel, a host escaped from his hand and flew to Mary's lips. Out of love for the Lord and for sinners, she constantly inflicted severe penances on herself. She had a great intimacy with the souls in purgatory, who sometimes appeared to her to thank her for her prayers. During the last years of her life, Mary Grace hardly ate anything and used to tell her confessor, "I received such fullness from the Lord when I received the Blessed Sacrament that in no way can I feel a desire for any food." She spent many hours in adoration before the tabernacle. She was like a Eucharistic lamp that was burning and shining. Like all great mystics, Mary was very much tormented by the devil because she tore the souls of sinners from him. So much so that one day, out of spite, the devil went so far as to break her arm. During a vision, she experienced the terrifying pains of the crucifixion, and Jesus himself pierced her heart with a lance. It was the wound of love, which bound her definitively to her spouse, Jesus. From that moment on, Mary of the Passion carried the stigma until death. During the last 15 days of her life, she lived on the Eucharist alone.